What's going on, everybody? We are back with a brand new episode of the Daily Grossy. It is Wednesday, March 11th. We are recording this at 4:11 p.m., which, Tony, Happy New Year. The new NFL league year has begun. Are you feeling the magic?
Yeah, let's get the party hats and buzzers out, the sound makers. It's the new 2026 NFL season. So no looking back to 2025. It's nothing but looking straight ahead.
Looking straight ahead. Tony, can you give us, like, the Browns just announced the Titus Howard deal. So basically what we're going to see is all the moves that they've made, and we're going to get to them, but everybody officially announces them today.
Yeah, the only thing they previously announced was their contract with Tevin Jenkins, their 1-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was signed it. They don't announce these things until they are physically signed, and they couldn't physically sign them until after 4 p.m. So they will announce the Titus Howard trade, the Elton Jenkins signing, Zion Johnson.
Yep.
And a new tight end today from the New Orleans Saints that they signed for 1 year.
Yep, that would be tight end Jack Stoll. Tony, want to get to some of that, but let's start with the Elton Jenkins signing because that came after we recorded yesterday. Center guard from Green Bay, I believe he got 2 years, $24 million. Third offensive lineman addition after Howard and Johnson, and then 4 if you count bringing Tevin Jenkins back. What are your thoughts on the Elton Jenkins signing from the Browns?
Well, I think this one's a little bit riskier than Zion Johnson because of the age. He will be 30 during this season, just like Titus Howard. He also is coming off an injury. He broke his leg in week 10 last year and had an ankle damage too, had surgery. He was playing center last year for the Packers. Prior to that, he was a pretty good left guard. He had made the Pro Bowl 2 different seasons at left guard. Now, when they announced this signing, when they announced, when news struck that this deal was agreed to yesterday, automatically you assume, well, they're paying him good money to play his best position, which is left guard. Which means, I guess, Bitonio's not coming back, right? So still no official word on that. But theoretically, if Bitonio did come back, he hasn't decided yet. I guess Jenkins could move to center, even though that's not his best position.
Well, Tony, let's do this. Let's go through every position on the offensive line because a lot's changed there, and get your thoughts on where things stand, where might go next. Left tackle. Obviously, this is the one position that they haven't addressed. So draft, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, no activity so far, although Rasheed Walker from Green Bay, the left tackle, is still the best left tackle in free agency. He's unsigned. Unless they do something at that position, you have to assume left tackle remains the top priority for the Browns in the draft.
And then left guard, where do you think that things stand right now at left guard? Obviously, we mentioned Elton Jenkins, but the Bitonio thing is just kind of hanging out there.
Right. He hasn't informed the club. The club hasn't informed the media. Will he retire or will he come back? So maybe there's still a possibility he could make a decision at any time. So in the meantime, you've got to assume that, again, the way they're paying Elton Jenkins, they want the Pro Bowl Elton Jenkins, not the one who played center last year. So I'm going to put Elton Jenkins at left guard.
Tony, and then center, do you think Luke Whippler has the inside track there? We haven't really seen anything else there at center other than maybe Jenkins.
Yeah. Whippler probably, if he's healthy, and Andrew Berry said he would be for the start of the season. Whippler was the heir apparent to Ethan Posick at center. His injury history, though, is a little murky. Right now, he'd be the center. And maybe Elton Jenkins is considered, a backup center and also a starting guard. I still think they need a center, a veteran, dependable center. Maybe that's not going to happen in free agency, and maybe they look to the draft at that position.
Okay, then right guard, Tony, what are you thinking for right guard right now?
I think that's got to be Zion Johnson,
Okay.
who played there his rookie season. Then he played 3 years at left guard for the Chargers.
Yeah.
He's, like I said, he's 26, former first-round pick. So I'd put him at right guard. And then at right tackle, you got Titus Howard.
And then, Tony, can you explain a little bit the Bitonio situation? Friend of the show, Field Yates, just texted me. He said, the money's on the books now. We're past 4 p.m. That $23 million's on the books, right?
Yeah, it's my understanding he had 4 dummy years in his contract to spread out salary caps in previous years. At 4 p.m., his contract automatically voided, and the Browns are going to be hit with a salary cap charge, a dead cap charge of $23.5 million, give or take a few $100,000 here or there. And that will be deducted from the 2026 total salary cap. It doesn't mean Bitonio's done until we hear from him. Now, he's technically now a free agent. And if he were to come back to the Browns, they would have to re-sign him to a new contract. But that's not going to erase that $23.5 million dead cap charge. Had he retired prior to 4 p.m., there was a mechanism the Browns could have broken that up to about $8 million this year and $16 million next year on their dead cap charge. But that can't happen now. They could bring him back under a new contract, but it's not going to erase that salary cap charge.
So, Tony, are you surprised? Like, it just didn't seem like there was, I get it, they're giving him his time and everything, but it seems like a $23 million dead cap hit for this year could have been avoided in some way, right?
It looks that way to me, Chops. The Browns just never seem to have urgency about this.
Yeah.
In the interest of hoping he changes his mind or makes up his mind to come back.
Yeah.
So it's really odd. This could have easily been avoided, or at least cut, the way I said, $8 million and $16 million, if they had pressed the issue and said, hey, we need a decision. And they chose not to do that. So they're going to take the $23.5 million cap hit.
Interesting. Tony, another quick one right here, and then I want to talk some more about offensive line. But the Browns did not apply tenders to restricted free agents Mahmoud Diabate, Sam Kamara, Sam Webb, and Blake Whitehart. So they are all unrestricted free agents right now. So the Browns do have some guys who have free agency.
A little bit surprised at Mahmoud Diabate because they're always thin at linebacker.
Yeah.
Now they previously did a tender to exclusive rights free agent Winston Reed, who is also a linebacker, missed all of last year with an injury, great special teamer. So maybe they're substituting Winston Reed out their roster this year for Diabate. But again, we have a whole new defensive coordinator whose background is in linebackers, and maybe it had something to do with that decision.
All right, Tony, looking at the offensive line now, look, there's still pieces we have to figure, like, does Bitonio end up coming back after this? What happens at left tackle? Where did guys kind of shift in? How would you grade right now Andrew Berry's rebuild of the offensive line? Like, it's not a complete project yet, but he has made progress on it. How do you think it has gone to this point?
Listen, I wouldn't give it much more than a C, to be honest with you.
Wow, Tony.
Well, and the reason it's that low is because you have two 30-year-olds, which means maybe they're with the team 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Titus Howard and Elton Jenkins are going to be 30 this year. And also, of the three, Jenkins is the only one with a certifiable injury history, and that bothers me a little bit. I like the fact Zion Johnson and Howard have proven at least, well, Zion Johnson's 4 years, he's missed 3 games in 4 years. And Titus Howard, the last 2 years, has missed only 2 games. So he gets good marks for that. But really, I still have a question at center, and there's a big question at left tackle.
Do you think, like, obviously Andrew Berry through this process and at the combine mentioned the Bears model, which they used the free agents to kind of put this all together. Do you think that Andrew Berry was worried about too many young guys on the line? He's like, I can't do this all through the draft, or like, why do you think he kind of went about or did what he did with who he signed?
Well, I asked both him and the head coach, Todd Monken, at the combine, how many rookies in your starting offensive line are too many? And they both kind of frowned at me and said, hey, if they're good, I don't care how many. At least that was Andrew Berry's comment. Monken was like, what do you mean by multiple? And I said, 3. And he kind of backed off on that. So I got the impression that 2 rookies would be about the max. Okay.
And it's they might not even get there with it, right?
One of them, well, theoretically, they could draft a tackle with the first pick and a center in the second or third round, fourth round, and he could be the best one in camp, Yeah. So that would be 2 rookies right there. I'm more concerned about the fact, again, the injury history to Jenkins, and also the fact that you're giving a lot of money to 2 30-year-olds. Listen, the strength of the Browns' offensive line was their interior. Bitonio, Posick, Wyatt Teller. I don't think they're better today than that.
Really? You don't?
No. Their offensive tackles have been a problem the last 2 years because of injuries primarily and lack of development at that position. But the strength has always been those 3 interior positions, and they're no stronger today than they were prior to Posick getting hurt.
It seems like Elgton Jenkins is really good at pass blocking. Zion Johnson's really good at run blocking. Titus Howard's really good at It kind of seems like they mismatch together. And I think you brought up the point on RBS of, hey, Warhops, this is a whole new group. Like, these guys are going to have to mesh together. Was that just unavoidable with where they were of needing to do this?
Yeah, one thing that's why I thought Bitonio was a key, to be kind of like the glue. The Bears had 1 returning starter, their right tackle, who's a former number 1 pick. And then they added basically 4 new players, 3 veterans and a rookie last year. They did a good job of meshing them into a team right away. Now Warhop's got to do that with his team at offensive line. He's got his own team there. He's got to develop a chemistry pretty quick.
Yeah, they do. Tony, what else? Where else do you think the Browns are going to go in free agency here? Obviously, they signed the tight end, who many think is probably going to be a tight end 2, tight end 3 for them. Jack Stoll. Mm-hmm. He's more of a blocking tight end. Where do you kind of see this going from here of maybe more free agent targets?
I don't think there are many more to come. They might add a veteran cornerback to be their new nickel cornerback, or to at least compete there, or one of the backup, outside corner positions. Maybe another linebacker, another veteran plug in, 1-year plug. And of course, receiver, whether it's by trade or free agency, I think that's still a glaring need.
Tony, I have to get your thoughts on the Max Crosby fiasco that went down last night. Obviously, the Ravens backed out of the trade, surprisingly, and then they signed Trey Hendrickson this morning to a big contract. Overall, what are your thoughts on how everything went down? And, you've covered this league a long time and you just don't often see it,
I haven't seen this happen with such a big name player, and big name players include, Baltimore and the Raiders and the player itself, Crosby. It's stunning. I don't think the Ravens broke any rules. The spirit of the rule, maybe, but these guys are competitive, these teams, and all's fair and love and war in the pursuit of championships. I think that the Raiders are big losers in this, and also Cincinnati Bengals are losers. They end up losing their defensive end, who they chose to let walk away, Trey Hendrickson. He ends up with their rival Baltimore Ravens. So Joe Burrow's a big loser in this mess too, I would think. But the Ravens, you wonder, why did they agree to this overpay for this Crosby in the first place, and whether or not they got cold feet. They finally figured it out and said we could get Hendrickson for just money. Why give up draft picks?
Well, Tony, it's hard not to think that that's what. I mean, there was 5 days of everybody in the media saying, "Hey, you guys may have overpaid here," and then suddenly he's coming. And like no one knew that, or no one thought that he was going to pass a physical. Everybody knew he had knee surgery a couple of months ago. It's just tough.
Well, maybe we'll get some clarity. 5 p.m. today, Eric DeCosta is supposed to have a press conference to explain what happened. So we'll hear their side of it. But if you're the Raiders, you got to feel you got taken over on one, and they're going to go on. Crosby's probably going to stay, or they're going to trade him at a reduced trade value now, because that has definitely been reduced through this mess.
Yep. Tony, real quick. So the Browns have now officially announced a contract extension for Titus Howard, which we knew about, the 3-year extension, and then that they have signed guard center Elton Jenkins, guard Zion Johnson, linebacker Quincy Williams, and tight end Jack Stoll. Stoll, I don't know if we know the exact pronunciation on that. But those are all now official, Tony. So.
All right. Well, good. Nobody changed their mind, in other words.
Yeah, no one pulled a Ravens or Max Crosby on the Browns in this situation. All right, Tony. Well, it's the new league year. We're going to follow everything kind of as it unfolds with everything becoming official. So we'll catch back up with you tomorrow, see what else happens with the Browns. But until then, we'll talk to you.
All right. See you then.